We just arrived at our hotel in Kathmandu, and originally we were supposed to spend 2 nights here, but Nepal has had a lot of things going on in the past month and the past couple of days. Last month there were actually a lot of protests and the government was overthrown, but things are getting back to normal around here. But over the past couple of days there has been a lot of rain and a lot of flooding. So the road that we were supposed to take to Ramechhap, where we were going to get on our flight to go to Lukla, has been completely washed out, and we have to take a much longer road. So instead of 4 hours of driving, it's going to be about 9 hours of driving. So we're actually going to leave tomorrow instead of the following morning. Because of that, me and Vince and Tad need to go get some shopping done tonight, and we need to get our duffel bags packed tonight. Our trekking company, Everest, has provided us with these duffel bags. This is what we're going to keep all of our stuff in for the entire trek. And it will be about 11 days of trekking if everything goes to schedule. But yeah, there are just a couple of things that we wanted to buy once we got here. I'm looking for a jacket, so is Tad, and maybe some gloves. So we popped out into the streets of Tamil in search of a trekking gear shop, and there was one right nearby our hotel. And of course, there are tons of these stores throughout Tamil, but we went ahead and just stopped at the first one we encountered because we were so short on time. We each picked out a few things and then went and grabbed some dinner, and we did try our first momos, which is one of the most popular foods you can find throughout Nepal. We also grabbed some boba tea, and then we went back to the hotel to pack our duffels. Alright, I'm doing just the last minute touches on my packing, and then we are meeting up with Sonam to meet the rest of our trekking group and do a brief in the lobby, and then we're off on a 9-hour drive to Ramechhap. So yeah, this is happening a bit sooner than we expected, but it's really happening now. We've been training for this for so long, and it's hard to believe that it's actually finally happening. I'm excited, but I'm also pretty nervous. I really just hope I make it to base camp. I really want to see it. I really do. But at this point, only time will tell. I think no matter how far I make it, it's going to be a really beautiful journey. Yeah, let's just keep our fingers crossed that the elevation sits well with me. I'm also really excited to get to see some of Kathmandu when we get back, because even though we've only been here for a night, it seems like a really cool city. So we just got our trekking maps. We're starting here. Walking all the way up to Everest Base Camp, hopefully. It's gonna be a long hike. And just like that, our adventure had begun. As we drove out of Kathmandu, we could see some buildings whose windows were shattered during the Gen Z protests a few weeks before, but other than that, the city was all cleaned up and things really seemed like they'd gone back to business as usual. All in all, the 9-hour drive was probably closer to 10 or 11 hours with stops for food and traffic delays, but along the way we started to get to know our Everest teammates and our guide Peasy. We had joined a public group trek, and there ended up being 7 clients in our group, which was actually a pretty great number because there was always someone around to hang out with, but there weren't so many people that it felt overwhelming. Somewhere along the way, I fell asleep and I didn't wake up again until we arrived in Manthali in pitch darkness. We stayed in a tea house that wasn't far from the Ramechhap Airport, which we hope to fly out of the next day. All 3 of us in here. Getting cozy. We're in Ramechhap this morning. We spent last night here. And hopefully today we're going to get on a flight to Lukla, because we are supposed to start hiking today. If everything goes on schedule, we will be in Phak Ding this evening. There are a lot of people at our hotel that have been waiting to get on a flight for a couple of days, and I think 6 flights are still backed up from the past couple of days of storms. So we might spend another night here if we're unlucky. I came through this window to get onto our balcony. Flights were definitely taking off, which seemed pretty promising, but the weather would have to hold out long enough for all of the people who had been waiting for days ahead of us to get their flights before we would get a chance to go. We loaded all of our duffels into this truck and drove the short distance over to the airport, and when we arrived, it was pretty chaotic. There were a lot of people waiting for flights, so Peasy led us up to the rooftop of a nearby restaurant where we could wait in peace, but definitely not quiet because the flights were really loud. So we're here at the Ramechhap Airport, and it's really busy, but Peasy did say that we have only 4 flights in front of us, so it's looking good for making it to Lukla today. Until then, we get to just watch planes taking off. Only 4 flights ahead of us meant 4 flights on our airline, which was Tara Air. There were planes taking off from a few other airlines as well, and these planes just spend the day flying back and forth between Manthali and Lukla until the weather gets bad. The flight takes about 20 minutes, so the same set of planes was cycling in and out every hour or so, with a plane taking off every 10 to 20 minutes. It was pretty cool to get to watch how efficiently this airport is run, but the Tenzing Hillary Airport, the one we'd be landing at in Lukla, is considered to be one of, if not the most dangerous airports in the world. I basically decided I just wasn't going to think about that as much as possible, and instead I tried to focus on how cool it was to watch the planes take off and land all morning. Eventually we got our tickets and we had to have our bags weighed before we could go inside the airport. They were pretty strict about the 5 kg limit on our backpacks, but there was a bit more wiggle room with the 10 kg limit on our duffel bags. After our bags were approved, we went through security and then sat down in the terminal to wait some more. But eventually, well, we got through security. We waited and waited and waited. Our flight was the next flight, and then the weather got bad in Lukla. So now everybody's out here and we're getting dalbat for lunch. And we have no idea if we're gonna get on a flight today or not. 50-50 chance. Yeah, it was definitely 100% chance of not flying at this point, but we were still trying to hold out hope. We had to stay near the airport just in case flights started up again, but eventually we got bored and decided to take a walk, and we played a game along the way.
Denmark.
Kazakhstan.
New York.
Kentucky.
By now, there was no hope left of getting on a flight that day, and weirdly enough, the thing that stressed me out the most about this was that it was really hot out and I was sweating in my clothes. I was upset that they were already getting dirty before we'd even started walking because I didn't want them to smell bad yet. And looking back, this seems so silly because every piece of clothing I brought with me was bound to get nasty at some point. Did it really matter if it happened today, tomorrow, or the next day? No. The answer is no. But anyway, we spent the night at a different place this time and we stayed in these tents. It did not happen today. We did not get on a flight. The weather was fantastic here. If anything, it's way too hot. But in Lukla, it got stormy and cloudy, so we were not able to take off. So we are here for one more night, and tomorrow morning we should be on the second flight out. Oh, and there were cats there, so that was nice. Today should actually be the day for real. We have the second flight to Lukla and we're gonna get to the airport at like 6:30. By later this morning, we should be actually hiking. After breakfast, we went back to the airport and this time we checked in right away and we were probably waiting for less than an hour before we got to go out to the tarmac to board our flight. And I think this is the part of the video where I'm supposed to be acting super scared about going on this dangerous flight, but to be honest, I was just so excited to be going that I guess I must have forgotten to be appropriately terrified. I was lucky enough to get a seat on the left side of the plane, which is the direction where you get awesome views of the Himalayas. So between the massive mountains and being able to see straight into the plane's cockpit, this might have been the coolest flight I've ever been on. And yeah, seeing the snowy mountains outside of my window just made me even more excited to start trekking. This is where it really hit me that I was actually getting to see the Himalayas, which is something I've dreamt about for a really long time. It's kind of hard to tell from the angle in this video, but this runway is on a hill, so we were going uphill when we landed, and this looked so wild in person. Once we landed, it was finally time to start hiking.
Peasy.
Yes.
Which direction are you supposed to spin these?
Clockwise.
Clockwise.
When we got into the actual town of Lukla, we met our porters and our second guide, Mais. Then we set off along a lively street that was lined with shops. Now that we were actually trekking, I was getting excited about pretty much everything we saw. Mani stones, prayer wheels, animals on the trail, tiny waterfalls. Literally everything felt like the most exciting thing I'd ever seen. Woo!
Hey, good morning, good morning.
And the hiking was really easy for the whole day. We were mostly going downhill and weren't even at a very high elevation yet, so it was really just a pleasant walk, although it was a bit hot out. We got to cross our first suspension bridge of the trek, and there would be a lot more of these to come, at least until we got to a much higher elevation.
Katie,
Yeah.
don't fall off.
Oh, thanks, son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bungee.
Pretty soon it was time to stop for lunch, and while we were eating, a cloud rolled right over us and started dumping rain. And not everyone had their raincoats packed into their day packs yet, but luckily the guides knew exactly what to do.
Making a poncho.
It rained for a little bit and then it stopped, but based on the clouds, we had not seen the last of the bad weather yet. So if you're planning on doing this trip, I definitely recommend that you pack for any kind of weather, because on this trip it's likely that the weather will be hot, cold, rainy, maybe snowy, super sunny, super cloudy. It's probably better just to have one set of everything you might need than several sets of one type of clothing. Oh look, our first yak sighting! Although technically these are yak-cow hybrids. By the time we arrived in Phuoc Dinh, it was raining even harder than before.
You're like right underneath the downspout.
Me?
Yeah.
So we stopped into a nearby tea house to wait it out and drink our first lemon ginger honeys. Once the weather cleared up, we got back on the trail and hiked another half hour or so to the village of Tok Tok, and this is where we were going to spend the night. Well, we just arrived at our first tea house on the trek. This is what our room in the tea house looks like. The trek today was pretty easy. It'll definitely be the easiest day of the entire trip. Even though I've heard that a lot of people are really afraid of the flight from Ramechhap to Lukla, it was actually really beautiful. I didn't really feel scared on it per se, even though that is supposed to be a pretty dangerous flight, especially for commercial flights. The view out the window was so beautiful. We really got to see the Himalayas before we even touched down on the ground. So far, the trekking has been really nice. Walking through all of the little towns is really cool, and obviously the mountain scenery is just fantastic. So yeah, feeling good about today, but tomorrow is supposed to be a lot harder. We are headed up to Namche Bazaar. I was even excited about being at the tea house at this point. We had really beautiful views just outside, and there was this helipad right behind the tea house. We spent the evening hanging out with our teammates, eating our first dinner of the trek, and weathering a few power outages. Vince and I are just getting ready to start the first really hard day of the trek. We're headed to Namche Bazaar today, and it's going to be longer distance and a lot more elevation gain than yesterday. We stayed in our first tea house last night, and it was pretty nice. The food was really good. We tried not yak cheese, but nok cheese for the first time yesterday, which a nok is a female yak. Yaks are only males. But yeah, the cheese tasted a bit like goat cheese. We've stopped eating meat because once we enter Sagarmatha National Park, there's no slaughtering of animals allowed, so all of the meat has to be brought up on either muleback or yak back, and apparently it can get pretty off by the time it reaches the tea houses. Overall, I'm really excited to get hiking today. This is where we are right now, and today we are going all the way up to Namche Bazaar. I went outside before breakfast to enjoy the mountain views, then I met up with everyone else back inside for a quick meal before it was time to hit the trail.
It's a solar panel.
We met a lot of people throughout the trek who said their solar panels didn't work well, but we had really great luck with this one. We managed to charge a power brick with it every day Vince wore it, and at night we were able to charge both of our phones and then rotate out whichever camera battery needed charging the most. Obviously, this probably wouldn't have worked as well if it hadn't been sunny, but spoiler alert, the rest of our trek was very sunny. Anyways, I can drop a link for this solar panel in the description box since we had such good luck with it, and this isn't sponsored in any way, we just had a good experience with this solar panel. The trail to Namche was uphill for most of the day, and there were a couple of really tall waterfalls along the way, and also the mountain views were fantastic.
Look at his tail wagging. Oh my goodness. Oh, kisses.
There were several suspension bridges between Tok Tok and Namche, and just like the plane ride, I wasn't as sketched out by them as I imagined I would be. Oh, and I should probably mention that we decided as a group to skip the acclimatization day that we were supposed to do in Namche Bazaar so that we could get back on schedule. Some of our teammates were gonna miss their international flights out of Kathmandu if we didn't get back on track. Eventually, we ran into our porters at the entrance to Sagarmatha National Park. Of course, Vince wanted to try his hand at lifting our bags.
Oh, that's not as horrible as I might have expected.
Say that at 17,000 feet.
We crossed under the entrance gate to Sagarmatha National Park, and from here on out, we would be in the national park all the way up to base camp and back. The national park is home to some amazing wildlife species, and we would even get to see some of them later in the trip, but some species that call the park home that we definitely didn't get to see are red pandas and snow leopards. Yeah, it would have taken a miracle to see either of those, to be honest. Around this point, we had to take a detour because the main trail had been washed out during the monsoon. So we had to climb some extra hills, and the trail conditions were, you could say, still a bit wet.
We've been going uphill since lunch, and actually it feels pretty fine so far. We're about to cross the Hillary Bridge. The bungee. Yeah, that looks horrifying.
So I kind of told Vince that I would probably bungee jump with him here if we got the chance. And for context, bungee jumping is not something I've ever wanted to do. But such a bummer, the bungee jumping outfit was closed the entire time we were in Nepal. Ugh, too bad. After the Hillary Bridge, it's just a slow uphill slog all the way to Namche. But we did get to see a musk deer in the forest, which was really cool because they actually have tusks, and I've never seen a deer with tusks before. When we finally got to the top of the hill, we walked around a bend, and there was Namche. The first view of Namche was kind of a magical moment. We had to work really hard to get there, and then to get to see this amazing cityscape built right into the side of the mountain, it's just such a great reward for the effort. As we walked uphill to get to our tea house, I was feeling totally amazing. I was so happy to be there because it's such an iconic town. It's the biggest trading hub in the entire Khumbu region, and there's lots you can do here, from getting your hair cut, to getting a tattoo, to having a drink at the world's highest Irish pub.
You lost somebody.
I haven't gotten a single high five yet.
There you go.
Where's Sandy?
Yeah, where's Sandy?
I think it would.
We checked into our tea house and had a quick tea. Tea house number 2. After we dropped off our packs, we went back into town and spent the evening window shopping. We'd do real shopping on the way back down. Then we all met up at the Irish pub for a quick drink before dinner.
Well,
So we all just went out to explore Namche Bazaar a little bit, and I think we're all a little bit disappointed that we're not going to get our acclimatization day here because it's such a cool city. We could like spend hours just walking around the streets around here. But we did go to the world's highest Irish pub, and then I came back and took my first honest-to-God hot shower since Kathmandu. If anything, it was almost a little too hot, but oh my gosh, it felt amazing. And I think this will probably be my last shower until we get back here. Like 6 days from now, I think? I'd have to double check that, but anyway. It's almost time for dinner, so I'm going to meet up with everybody else, and then it's going to be time for sleep because we got another big day tomorrow. I got a local Sherpa dish for dinner, which was really delicious, and here's a typical charging situation if you're going to pay to charge your devices along the trail. Our arrival in Namche really wrapped up the first third of the trip, and after this, the landscape started to change, and the whole experience really changed a lot as we gained elevation. I'll be putting out a part 2 video soon, and that's going to cover the trek from Namche all the way up to Lobuche, so be on the lookout for that, because after Namche, things got steadily more beautiful, but the trade-off was that they also got steadily harder from here as well.
Next time on Birds of the Air Travel.
We can see Mount Everest right now. I don't know why we're doing this. I guess this day really took it out of me. Like physically and emotionally.